Hey guys, back with another Echoing Thoughts podcast here, episode number 81. Patch Day, August 21st. Will is out, new symbol is out, solo Damien, a lot more exciting stuff. I mean, once Will was announced, maybe I didn't really hit me yet until the last few days when I really started to grind the videos, the tape of what KMSM has done and PC has done, and I'm excited to showcase our first run with our team and kind of just the first glance. And if you want to see more Will content, you definitely want to join the Discord because there's going to be a lot of behind the scenes content that's not going to go on YouTube, and it's going to be exclusive to the Discord channel. And you guys definitely want to check it out. I plan on doing some crystal giveaways once I figure out how to do that. Still trying to get my last man standing event going, but it's going to be all about Will. And if you want to join in and just like see what's going on, see what we're trying to do, see what other teams in Asia and NA and Europe are doing, it's all going to be in the Discord. Great conversations, a lot of great players, kind of a lot of the leaders of the community for a long time of their own servers are kind of chatting together, and I'll be streaming a lot of my stuff there. Maybe not the live runs with the voiceovers, but definitely try to showcase content of our runs post patch and anything else, to be honest. So definitely want to stay tuned for that. But in this one, we're just going to talk about everything about the patch, and then we're going to get into some early gameplay of Will. All right, patch notes. Will, new regions, and just a lot of good stuff here. A lot of packages as well. Jeez, they are really milking that Moon Starlight Fragment event, and it is not good. Not good for me. But new Arcane River, the last symbol, I think, is Esfera for level 235 and above. There's going to be new Arcane Fields, 235 plus, and I think there's also a 240 area as well. So there's a new quest for the symbol, right? Got to do that before you collect any symbols. New monster collections, and then another area. This is mainly for training for 240 plus. So probably where we're going to go moving forward. And then the quest there is exchange. So it's not a new symbol, you just get to choose. It looks like Vanishing, Choo Choo, Latch, Arcana, Morass, Esfero. 20. That's a lot. So we'll take that and another monster collection, but the main thing of the patch is obviously Will. Some new things about it: 60% ignore enemy defense and 700 arcane power. So a little bit higher. So all the previous bosses, Lucid, Damien, Lotus even, were 40% ignore enemy defense. This one's 60. So it'll be interesting to see what type of damage is being dished out. The arcane power is 700 as well. So it's going to have a set bonus or have a little arcane power bonus as well. We'll have to wait and see what that is. Obviously for 10 people. 15-minute fight too. If you didn't know, 15 minutes. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be it's going to be a grind. So the main mechanic of this is the Moonlight Gauge. It shows up kind of on your wheel above like the fever gauge. So, and it's different for every phase. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. And so we'll kind of dive into that a little bit. But the gameplay is probably a lot easier to explain, so we won't go too much into Will. But Phase 1 has two different rooms, essentially. It has little screen cracks involved. We call them like mini test or checkpoints that go along in Phase 1, DPS checkpoints, essentially. And we'll talk about it in Damien as well. But these are all the skills. One of the things that we really try to focus on and look for that may be different from KMSM is HP scale damage. So obviously that means, if you don't know that, that means like it's just no matter what your HP is, it's gonna hit the same. It's gonna hit a certain percentage. So like it's not gonna be, and then fixed is more like orbs for Damien, Magnus orbs, things like that, and versus like HP scaled, I would say is more like Magnus bleed damage, and we haven't really seen it in a while. HP scaling damage. So I think Magnus may be the last one, maybe Arc as well, but definitely not one of the other 40% ignore enemy defense bosses. Those have usually all been fixed damage, where HP was such a big factor. But here, these skills are all going to be fixed damage. So that is something that we have to look at and see in the actual game how hard these hit, because this is the big indicator. If these are hitting like 120k or big numbers, and all of these are fixed damage as well. So this is fixed damage, this is fixed damage, and these are sort of what like the chaos that goes on in Will Damien that we really we shouldn't be paying attention to too much. So if all of these hit really hard, we're kind of effed. Like because we kind of have to stand there and tunnel. It's a lot of HP, it's a lot of DPS, and if we're having to move and dodge all of these things at once, we're just not going to make it. We're just not going to make it. So this is phase 2. There's a little test going on here with the crack as well. That is the big test as well, because if one or more party member dies during this pattern or this test, you must wait until the pattern ends to attempt again. So basically, you'll see. You'll see from our runs. So they have short attack, HP scaled. So these are all attacks that like the aggro are going to tank. So it's not going to kill you, right? It's going to be like 20% of your HP. 20%. It's going to knock back. HP scaled as well. That's not too bad. HP scaled as well. All frontal attacks, long range attacks, things like that, knockback attacks. And then summon spider. This is fixed. So depending on how hard this hits as well, this is kind of the game changer, right? Need the aggros to be pretty tanky. Fixed damage as well. So this is basically on the edges of the map, I think. And then yeah, so basically when I look at these patch notes, the main thing is that we can't decipher from the game is how hard obviously all these attacks hit. Fixed damage versus HP scaling. Fixed damage is always the big one that worries you. That's like that's what made Damien so challenging when it first came out. While Lucid, the fixed damage skills weren't as hard hitting, so it made it a lot easier for you to kind of just have a certain amount of HP and just tank a lot of the damage, right? But when Damien came out, orbs and the dashes for 190k, the even like the black smoke in phase 1, those all hit really hard and were too high for the HP scaling when the boss first came out. So we'll see where Will is during this time. And then this is phase 3, where it has this big snake attack, yellow eyes attack. These are all big. This is going to be all pretty much one-shot skills. Huge damage dealing shortly after. HP scaled. Oh wait, is that HP scaled? So maybe it is not a one-shot. So it might not be that bad. But it's probably going to be really high. It's going to be probably like 80, 70, 80, 90%. So with all the debris and stuff going on, if we're not tanking that, I mean, if we're dying to that, it's going to be rough, right? Poison, this is a big mechanic as well. You'll see how the mechanic we deal with that. But yeah, there's just a lot of fixed damage things. Fixed damage versus HP damage, that's always to be worried about. And then this is the reward. So the reward is actually very unique. This is the first time we've ever seen it. Well, the pocket, Mythic Pocket, is huge because of ignore enemy defense, right? We've talked about it, how the event had 3% and how much of an impact that made on like covert scores and Mulong scores. 5%. The best stat in the game, right? Ignore enemy defense. If we're getting that, that is just going to be a must-have. Everyone's going to get it on the first try. 15 primals, I think it costs, though, to craft. And then the 4-set pitched. So we are losing 6-set commander for this, right? So the set bonus, so you're going to get 5% ignore my defense, 1,000 attack. There's 1 for physical attack and 1 for magic attack, so you obviously don't want to mess that up, choose the wrong one. But then you also get 800k max damage cap and a lot of other stats, right? So you get more cap and the ignore me defense more than makes up for losing 6-set commander as well. So yeah, like 15 primals to craft it. Pretty nuts. Pretty nuts. And then the Will Soul, Mag Soul is going to be insane. And then this is the new big one as well, right? So it's going to drop a Mirror World Stone. Every run is a guaranteed getting this. So it is a B skill, a summon skill, right? It's going to spider the mirror, use its legs, deal damage over time to a single targeted enemy with the reactivation cooldown. Basically, it's set it and forget it summon skill, right? Big burst, has ignore enemy defense. As you max it, it's going to decrease the cooldown and every 5 levels. So it's impactful, it's huge, and it's tradable, which is very nice. Let's see, does it say? Look at, yeah, right here. So right here, the Mirror World Stone is tradable via trade station. So that's nice. We'll take that. Nice little income from the people clearing and to help the community, right? Get other players to skill because it is big damage, right? It is big damage, so it's going to help other people if they choose. If they can't clear will, they'll still be able to get access to it, which is nice. Everyone kind of wins in that sense. Damien solo mode. Excited for this as well. I showcased the Arrow doing solo Damien and KMSM back a while back, and I'm excited for this as well. The big issue is obviously the revives. 3 revives. So hopefully you can get gameplay on this because I have a bishop that doesn't have a team right now. So maybe I'll try and at least explore it and see how challenging it is. But the issue is the rewards aren't very great, worth it, I would say. Oh, but maybe this is normal single versus hard single. So we'll see. We'll check it out. We'll check it out for you guys. I'll share you guys some gameplay. I'll be doing some, if you guys are in the Discord, you know I'll be doing some of this gameplay too as well, either today, Wednesday, or tomorrow as well. I try to get some bishop gameplay in there for solo achievements. And this is another big one that we were worried about, right, is the contribution less than 2%. So I think in KMSM it's 3%, but this is nice because it's also damage dealt and healing. So we don't really know how much healing needs to be done, but for bishops, that's useful. That's helpful, right? Because they are contributing to the team's success, just not through damage. And so this is applied to all of these bosses right here. There's also a time limit. If you clear faster than a specified time, everyone will earn the reward regardless. So it's going to differ for each boss. So we'll see what that times are, right? It hasn't shown up yet. And then the PC client. Forgot about this because I don't got a PC, but huge. Huge. Right? So PC, got the Mac one, now finding the PC, adjust the resolution, all these things. I'm sure if you're in the PC client people, you guys are going to dive into this as well. I'm excited for everyone that gets to do that. It's cool. It's cool for sure. I know people are like going to do the side-by-side PC, Maple, and then MapleStory Mobile on the PC client, kind of multiple screens. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see for those Maple OGs out there. Trade station changes as well. Just allows for more filtering. I really like it. Ranks, kind of always looking for ranks and souls and things like that. Just more options to sort through. I like that if it's tradable or untradeable. Big fan of that. Chat improvements. I did see this in KMSM, and I was like, that's pretty interesting. So they got chat improvements as well. Quick chat kind of can have an option of what to see, how it's viewed, UI tab updates, all these things. Item links. You can post a link in the chat to share items you have currently equipped or they're in your bag. You can view the details and shared. Yeah, that's nice. Megaphones that you own. Record. You can view the 12 most recent chats, okay? And then events. So this is a nice commander event here. Get more damage done. Hill accessory. Yeah, people are still going to complain about not getting Magnus. I mean, I'm with them. Why is Magnus not in this? I don't understand. Is Magnus not? It's been how many years already? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand it. I mean, cool. You get the a choice, but slice. Am I reading that right? But yeah, I mean, Magnus. Hello. But now packages again. This is the third time they're doing Radiant Exalt Stones since anniversary. They had this 50% when it first came out. They had the 30%, and now they're doing 50s again. Exalt fails pretty much has never, ever, ever gone away. Apparently, it's still going. Intermediate, these are not bad. Not bad. More crystals, more crystals. People are going crazy on the crystals right now. Crazy. 10,000. My gosh, these crystal packages are wild. Chaos Exalt. Back. Jeez, just please no. Please just I need it. Can't be doing that. Chaos crystals. I don't know if they had this before, but enticing. But I don't think I will be doing that as well. And I'm good. I'm personally good. I wish you guys luck if you guys are doing this. I'm saying this now as I'm good, and I'll probably end up doing it anyways out of peer pressure. But we'll see. Please no. Depends how hard will is for me. Like if will is clearable with our team, which I think it will be, then I won't rush for the cap. But if we need more cap and more gear for will, we'll see. Other improvements here. Elixir cooldowns for bosses. Nice. 10 to 5 is 10 to 5 to 3. Normal multi. Normal mode. Normal hard. That's pretty sweet. So that's big, right? Like if you just want to like blink up, if you're stuck in the corner with orbs, you just blink up, you'll definitely get to be able to use a power elixir to full there. So that's nice. That's super nice. Judgment, yeah, phantoms, yeah. You guys got bugged apparently and you guys are getting buffed. Lucky you guys. UI stuff. Oh yeah, this is another one. Legendary. So all those people yeah, buying mesos. Yeah, none of that. None of the legendaries anymore. It is what it is. We'll see if it stops anybody. Probably not. See what it does to the economy. We'll figure it out. People will figure it out. Yeah, there's some interesting things in here. Like I noticed that like this is probably something that people overlooked, but they had some like this one was big to apply to limit the hit effect display count to solve the following problems. A feature limit the number of times hit effects are displayed. So basically, if like it's not going to show all your lines, but it's going to register it. Maybe just because it's laggy or something. Yeah, the performance of the device may deteriorate. So like skills with a high hit count have begun a feature that limits the number of hit effects displayed per attack to no more than 12 without affecting their existing usability. So I don't know. Every time if they play with this, there's always going to be a bug because they're, so check your line counts, check how hard things are hitting, make sure everything's right because one little miss in the code is going to affect a lot of things, right? So we'll see how that goes. Daily rewards, nice. Only one quest, you get all the symbols. Love to see that. Quality of life. Thank you, Nexon. We'll take that. And other than that, I think that was all the main stuff. Some small things here and there, but that's the patch notes. Pretty short and sweet, I guess. The biggest thing for me besides Will is the I think one, the potion is going to be underrated. That you're going to feel that. You're going to feel that's pretty nice as well. So I wonder if that's going to like alter what people set their HPs to maybe. Like if fair trade is on, you don't want it to be, and you have it on 90%, you don't want to be proccing every 5 seconds, right? That's going to eat at your power elixirs. So maybe like in certain content, you can put it at 70, you can put it at 50, maybe you don't even need power elixirs, right? That might be a thing if you can test that out, right? Like so that's actually pretty like underrated, nice change because yeah, if you don't need to use power elixirs, you can survive. Why not? Right? If you can change, like you reduce the amount of power elixirs you use on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, why not? Big excited for the single player mode. I just released that Wind Archer solo Lotus. I love solo content. Huge fan. Excited to see if this is even possible for the bishop, but I don't know if like even the bishop is like not very good at solo content. Let's be real. But we'll see what that's like. I just love trying out new things, trying out new content, and then obviously the PC client is huge. We'll see if this 2% is a big. I'm interested to see what the time is for each boss, right? If it's going to affect like barely anyone, like if it's 5 minutes, some people think, and I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, people will know. But like if CRA is like 30 seconds to a minute, if that's going to affect anything, like Von Leon Hilla, Magnus, ooh, multi arc. I didn't even notice that. Oh wait, yeah. Hello, multi arc, yeah. Yeah. So like all of these contents are going to be affected in some way. How much is it going to affect the dailies? How much is it going to affect like the alts, things like that? And how much is it going to affect like main teams? Because we were testing it out last week, and for Lucid, like if you're on the altar cleansing and the statue cleansing, you may not get 3%, 2%, right? If you're just standing there and cleansing. So it's interesting, right? It's going to change some things a bit, but overall, I think people will adjust and figure it out and, make it work, right? No one wants to leave anyone behind and not get the clears. So I'm sure the teams will figure it out after a while, and then will. Excited for that. Excited for my gameplay, new content, new boss. We'll be right back, and then we'll jump into some gameplay. All right, so before I get into Damien, or I keep saying Damien, Will gameplay, I wanted to talk about kind of the hot topics, the most discussed parts of the patch notes, and that is one, the legendary items, the meso cap on that, and then two is obviously the boss contribution, right? And so the legendary items is nothing new. I think people are upset. It's obviously for meso buying is what it really is about, kind of facing the bots, dealing with the bots, and let's be real, this isn't anything new. If you've been playing long enough, it was uniques into legendaries. They just figured it out. Like people will adapt. People will still buy mesos. It is what it is. They'll just have to use mythics, and that's just that. Fashion style items like Richie still can use legendary items. It's people are going to complain, but it's not really anything to talk about because that was the next step in the progression anyways, and there's a purpose for it, right? Understanding there's a purpose for it. So no surprise there. Not much to really talk about. And then the other one, the bigger topic that is no surprise people are complaining about again, is the boss contribution. 2%. 2% damage and healing is really all you need. And that is lower than I expected. Last week we were thinking 5% was the high end. 3% is what KMSM had. So 2% is very, in my opinion, forgiving. It is very doable. I don't like I think the funny part is like right now people are sort of just figuring out how much DPS they have to do, right? Whether it's CRA, whether it's multi-arc, whether it's, daily commanders, whether it's anything from Lucid up to Magnus, up to Damien, Lucid, Damien, Lotus. People are figuring it out, right? And people are upset. They're the same people. The people that are upset are the same people that are complaining that bishops got more DPS 2 patches ago. The same people that are complaining are the ones that were upset that they took away the bishop's ability to time leap or get their time leaps healed, or the internal cooldowns for their party res, right? I just think that it's funny that it's always like support classes, bishops mainly. Like back when Sia and Hourglass like thing got fixed, back when the bishop res got changed, it took a few weeks. Teams had to adapt. Teams had to figure it out. There were wipes, there were deaths, there were some things that they had to change, but people figured it out. People are now clearing stuff with 10 lives left. People, shocker, just played better, did survive more, figure out mechanics better and learn the bosses, right? And I think that is the point like of this. So there's two people really that are affected by this. It's mains, bishops, Sias, that in content like multi-arc, we're just standing in the corners and hitting the statues, right? So the orbs don't get to the middle. Or people in Lucid who are on the statues to cleanse the statue, right? For the butterflies. Those are the main bishops that may be affected, that may have to change gameplay a little bit. They may actually have to go in and do DPS, right? They may actually have to go in and buff, right? So for our Lucid run, instead of the bishop being the cleanser, last week, my Demon Slayer was a cleanser because I knew I could get the requirements to do the damage no problem. And I knew how to cleanse a statue, right? And it allowed our bishop to do DPS and make the cutoff, right? But that's the whole point, right? People will adapt. Teams have to adapt. Individuals have to adapt. Shocker, you may actually have to buff for multi-arc. Throw on some crit rate. Throw on some defense smash 4. Something to do damage. You may actually have to hit the boss, right? You can't just stand in the corner and leech or do a certain mechanic. You got to do both. And that is the beauty of being a bishop or a support class or a Sia, is you can do support, but you also can do DPS. And 2%, let's be real, is not a lot, is no DPS whatsoever. Like if you are a main and you can't do DPS, 2% DPS, then it's time to invest in some nodes. It's time to invest in some maybe defense smash 4, maybe improve your mechanics, gameplay. There's other things at play here if you can't do 2% DPS on your main. Now the other side is the ults, right? The ults that are the bishop ults, the Sia ults, the shade ults, maybe even phantom ults, that are ults of mains that most of the times mains are carrying the ults, right? Or they're carrying other teams, and in return you're carrying someone else's ult, and then that other person's ult or other person's main is now carrying your ult, vice versa, right? People are doing that. People have been doing that for a long time. Remember, people have to put in the context. Lotus has been out for over 2.5 years. Our first clear in NA was almost 2 years ago. Absolab came out in February of 2023. So 18 months ago, Absolabs came out, and this is where it really came into effect, right? Because it allowed for those chaos coins, for those chaos shards, and those Absolab stones to actually be of value. So people would carry ults, but it really wasn't, it was thought of in then, but I don't think people had enough DPS to do it, right? And now with V3 that came out last year, and V4 for sure, it's becoming more and more prevalent that ults, that mains can do enough DPS, maybe like half the team are mains, half the team are ults, and they're getting double the resources, right? And I think that is, let's be real, that is gaming the system, but it was part of the game. It was part of the system, right? It may be frowned upon, but the best players figure out the loopholes in the game. That is just what it is, right? That's in any game, in anything, right? And they're trying to just maximize the resources, take advantage of what they can do, right? And it's going to be no different. I get it. You're going to complain if you're an alt. Like I have an alt Sia that was just there for Hourglass to help keep people alive. It has no business being in a Lotus multi-run. Now, for me, it's whether or not, like, I know my Wind Archer that I did solo Lotus on last week, 15 mil cap, just with a Necker weapon, just some mythics, can do 2% damage, right? It can solo Lotus. It has the mechanics. With the Sia, if I really was truly, like, if this was important to me, then I would use my resources to level nodes for that Sia. I would make an inherent weapon, maybe a Fafnir weapon, maybe even try for a Necker weapon, or I would buff, right? Like 2%, everyone's doing the calculations right now. Lotus is 60 bill damage, 2%. Arc is 19 bill damage. I know for a fact if I had a inherent weapon and I full buffed and I had max nodes on my Sia, I could do 60 bill damage. No questions asked, right? So I think that the players that there's just going to be that learning curve, just like I said, where when the Hourglass changes were made and the Bishop Res changes were made, there was a period where people had to adjust and people had to figure it out. But a few weeks down the line, a month down the line, these people that really want those resources, that have alts that are, still want to do Lotus, they're going to figure it out, because usually those people have CDD alts. They have armies. They know how to maximize resources, so they're going to do the same, where they're going to find the minimum amount of gear, the minimum amount of mezzels that they have to spend to do 60 bill damage in Lotus, or 100 bill in Lucid, or whatever it is they're trying to content they're trying to do. They're going to try to hit that threshold with the bare amount of gear. And if that requires them to use Defense Smash 4 and, God forbid, full buff, they're going to do it, right? Because the resources are still worth it. So I get people are frustrated post-patch. There's always people that complain, that, threaten quitting because it ruins their lives. But the people that really are doing this, that really, like, my Sia, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to be like, it's not worth it for me. I don't want to, I could do it, but I just don't want to. And I'm fine with it, right? But I know other people, they're going to start gearing their bishops. They're just going to throw a little bit more mezzos that way, and it's going to pay off in the end. So I just think that is my take on it. This isn't anything new. People have to adapt all the time. The game constantly changes, and whether it takes them a few weeks to adapt, a few days, maybe you don't have to adapt at all. Just change your team gameplay, right? Like how we're doing in Lucid, and it'll be business as usual. All right, so this is our will run, our best run per se. We've run on Wednesday a few times, kind of just get our feet wet. We had some of our main team not available, so we sort of were mix and matching people. We had about a solid 5 maybe that ran both on Wednesday and Thursday, maybe 6, and then we kind of had fillers in here and there depending on scheduling and things like that. So a mixture, right? And I think for Will, reps is super important. Some people catch on a lot faster than others. Obviously, there's a lot going on, right? And so I was really proud of the team because we were able to get to phase 2. Phase 1 wasn't smooth, but we got to phase 2. We kind of learned that we could survive for a long time, and it was just cleaning up some mechanics and some strategies that I think will help us do a lot better moving forward. But kind of right now, it's a feeling out process and a learning process. And so I'm going to sort of talk about what the biggest learning points for Will are right now, because it does have its own mechanics, and it does take some getting used to, right? So again, like any other boss, positioning is super crucial. Just like Damien, just like Lotus. If you're not an aggro or a tank, you want to stand behind Damien, right? And with this team, we had a lot of instances where aggro was jumping, right? So at the start, in phase one, you'll see that there's the first thing you want to pay attention to is this moonlight gauge thing right here, right above the soul, right above the fever. That is the big mechanic for will. You want to fill that up. And in phase one, it allows you to change between rooms. And so you'll see right there the HP bars. There's 3 HP bars for will. There's the blue and the purple. So that indicates which room you're in. So ideally, we would all get to the blue room. So right now, half the team is split up at the start. They're trying to fill the gauge. When it lights up right there, see how it lights up? That means you can switch rooms. Now, since I'm already in the blue room, and you can tell by 2 things. You can tell by the background is blue, but also the HP bar that is actually in the right color is the room that you're in. So the white, grayish white one is the other room, and then the blue one, that's obviously the room that you're in, right? So those are 2 indicators on what room we're in. And so you can see right now, both rooms are getting dropped evenly. And then once everyone gets into, so I messed up right there, but that's me. So now this is what the purple room looks like. So you see not too many people are left in here because everyone moved over to the blue room. So you can see now everyone's in the blue room. My gauge has a little timer. That's how you know I switched rooms as well. Everyone's in the blue room, and we're just going to DPS it down right here. So you can see how blue is going down faster than the other one. And then we end up switching right here. So unfortunately, this team, if we played a little better, we probably could have got down to this 1/3 mark, these notches right here. And that is the goal, because it's a sort of test, DPS check, test on getting through this red bar, this red HP bar. So you'll see right here we switched to this purple room because we wanted to get purple down. There's a few reasons for that, but the main thing is that at 58, every 1358, 1258, there is going to be a test. And there's 2 things that the test is looking for, right? It's going to be a screen crack. So right here, this is kind of ideal that both are around the same, because at 58, there is going to be a test here. You're going to see the banner show up right here. Will is trying to unlock his power, find your way to safety. So this is the test at 58 seconds, right? And so what we're looking for is this eye in the middle, and that's the room you want to stay inside. If we were in the blue room, there would be no eye, and screen crack would happen in that room, and it would one-shot everyone in that room. So what you do at this time is you look for the eye. If you're in the eye, you stay. If you're not in the eye, you use the moonlight gauge and you flip over to that room to be for safety. Right? There's 2 things that happen at 58. One is that screen crack, and 2 is if you are at this notched mark, this 1/3 notched mark, you will go into another test, a gold shell test. But since we didn't get there, the lowest HP is going to go back to the highest HP. So that's why it's important that both sides are evenly distributed as possible, because you'll see later in the fight that we don't do that, and it really just wastes DPS. So it's really wasteful. So right here, you see how that happened right there? This is where they went even. The HP bar, the red one, went all the way back. And then now we're downing this purple room. And once you hit that notched mark, you're going to start seeing zeros. Okay? So you're not going to do any more damage. You can't get past that. And that's how the indicator for us is to switch rooms. So right there, we switch rooms, made sure we got it down, because sometimes we were close to not getting it down. And then now we're just all in this blue room, trying to DPS it down. And then we're trying to fill our moonlight gauge. So ideally, if we played it right, did a few things better, we could have got to this check mark, this notched mark at 1358. That's what we're eventually going to have to do. But right now you see we're doing zeros. We can't do any more damage, right? Our DPS is not going up over here, and we're waiting for the 58-second mark. So we're just trying to fill up our gauge here, make sure it's full, and prepare for test. So you'll see right here, I just pop Sanko to be safe. Will is trying to unlock his power. There's no eye in the middle, so we all switch over to purple. And this is the safe room. So that's test number 1, the screen crack. Test number 2 is this banner. Attack the people to redirect the moonlight. Use this to create the moonlight barrier. And this is when we both hit both notches. Right? So there's the eye in the middle on the ground. It creates this little shell. And essentially what we're trying to do is there's going to be another screen crack at like the 28-second mark, 30-second mark, that if you're not in that shell, you're going to get one-shotted. Or if someone dies during this phase as well from these black orbs, red and black pink orbs that hit, they one-shot, or they do hit like 240, 250k. So some people get one-shotted. It resets. We fail the test. And we'd have to go, the HP would go back up a little bit. So you see, while I'm in iframe, I'm sort of playing like, it's kind of like Popcorns in Damien, or in Magnus, you can block the orbs. That's sort of what I'm doing. Because so screen crack right here, we took the screen crack, I survived with iframe up, and then I'm blocking these orbs. Because, yeah, you see right there, we got lucky because that orb fell down right at the end of the screen crack. So if that happened a little bit earlier and she died, then we don't have to get reset. But since it happened, we were lucky. The banner came up and we're on to the next phase. So we passed that first test. You see the HP is going back down. And this is what I was talking about. We should have switched over, and where we can improve, we should have switched over right here. Because look, there's only 10 seconds left between the next test. So you'll see the HP, we don't switch rooms until it's very late. And I burst here like a goon. So I'm making it go down even more. And then by the time 58 comes, so we're trying to find safety. There's no eye in this room. So we switch to the other room. But look at the HP bars right here. So that's one area, wasted DPS. All of that was wasted, right? So that's one area that I should have called out better, and that I'm trying to improve on, because that is huge. Because now my burst is down. Everyone's burst is down, and we have a minute left to get there to the next test, but we're not going to get there because we don't have any DPS. We don't have anything going for us, right? So you'll see we're in the purple room right now. We're going to switch over soon, right, to even it out. But if we did a better job in that first minute, so we switch here to even it out. But if we did better in that little 30-second window and all that DPS didn't just go back, the health didn't go back up, we may have gotten to this at this next 58-second mark, which is huge, right? Because you'll see now we're kind of just playing conservative. We know we're not going to get there, so we're just trying to even it out. Test right here. Banner, find your way to safety. The eye is here, so we're staying, right? Team does a great job. They figure it out. Callouts are great. We're in a good spot. But now the HPs are better. So now, in this case, we're going to kind of waste time, right? Remember how we were waiting previously like 30 seconds doing 0 damage? This is going to be the same way, right? So we're getting blue down to the check mark, switch over, and getting purple down. And look at those truffle locks DPS. Sheesh. But yeah, you see right here, we're going to get there with time to spare, twiddling our thumbs. Right, we get there right here, 15 seconds left, doing nothing. So this is time that can be shaved off if we just played a little better, coordinated a little better. But regardless, we got there, right? And look, 10 lives left. There's a lot of stuff going on. All of this other debris and spider legs and orbs, they're pretty minor. The tornado right there, however, that right here, that is the big skill. But right here, find your way to safety. We're all going to the blue. And then we're going to get this test again. So banner coming up. And so what we learned is like, we just have to dodge those. Don't be in the shell right there. But what we learned is that iframes, like this part is super crucial. If we fail, if someone dies here, we have to wait a whole nother minute. So right here, unfortunately, we had a death here. And so you'll see the HP went back up, right? And so we just have to wait, unfortunately, again. And it just, if we actually want it to clear, we have to be better at that, right? Every second counts. Because look, now it's 30 seconds, 20 seconds till the next check mark, 58 seconds here. And all that's wasted DPS. Do we get there? Here, maybe? We're trying to burst it. Trying to find your way to safety. Crack. Yeah. So look how close we were. Look how close we were, but we didn't get there. Right, so now, again, wasted time. But this is, oh, actually we did get there. Lucky. So we were close, but we got there, right? So scratch everything I just said. But we got in the test here. Now we're running from these blacks. Everyone's back in the shell. And if that, like I'm just using my iframe here to block that orb, not taking any chances. And then we're running from that. Right? So team survived there. We passed the next test. Surprisingly, I thought we didn't make it, but we did. And now it's rinse and repeat. So you can see this is 7 minutes into the fight. Phase 1. The fastest you can do this, even in KMSM, even with the best DPS, the way the mechanics works is 6 minutes. So, and you need to clear it in 6 minutes. If it takes 7 minutes, it's very sweaty for the future phases, phase 2 and phase 3. But for this, we were just trying to get experience, right? We have 2 deaths, 7 minutes in, doable. We have 2 bishops. So one of our bishops we're getting good support healing. And we have a phantom, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff doesn't hit very hard. And as long as aggro is facing the right way and doing their job, and we had some good aggros here, and we had tanky aggros, they were healing through everything. So like if you're, obviously that is kind of the gear requirement. All of these skills, these debris is all HP scale damage. And then the tornado is fixed. So that is really the only issue. And if you get knocked back, you want to blink right on top of the boss. But you see right here, it just takes long, right? For us on this team, it's going to take a while. But I think there are things that we can do better to improve our times, like I said, and mechanics. Because if we can shave off like even 30 seconds here, right? Like we're going to get through this pretty quickly. And we're always waiting 20, 30 seconds. Sometimes it's inevitable. We have no choice. But other times, like we can do things better. I can do things better to call things out, to coordinate splits and stuns and maximizing DPS so that we can get there, right? So here we are getting through phase 1, the last test, waiting another 20 seconds. And I mean, look at the DPS. Look at how much damage people are doing. Yikers. Ice Lightning Mage at the top. Nightwalker, the Truffle Loxes. Miller Rings is a Night Lord. And then Homeless is Shade. You'll see his POV in YouTube. He streams it. And then I'm Paladin. So we're here. This is all rinse and repeat. Unfortunately, tornado, right? You saw that tornado. We kind of got relaxed there. And then now it's just getting to this test. Right in here, we're sort of prepping for phase 2 because we had issues with phase 2 the first time, a few times, because in phase 2, the Moonlight Gauge does something different. And I'll be right back. Once we get into phase 2, I'll talk about it more. So like I'm right here, like blocking all those orbs. That may have wiped the team right there. So that is crucial if your team watching or something, trying to actually do it. Paladins, anyone with iframe, saves lives. It really does. That could have wiped the team easily. There's nowhere to go. And if you didn't have an ethereal form or shell, or not shell, or iframe, or not enough HP, yeah, that would have killed us and we would have got screwed on the test. All right, we'll be right back. We'll get to phase 2. All right, so phase 2. Now, the difference is Moonlight Gauge is for HP healing. So it triggers faster. So right here, it lit up already, right? At kind of like at a quarter mark, maybe like even, yeah, less. So you can, it's essentially manual power elixirs. Like you cannot use a power elixir until you press this because there's a debuff in phase 2 for pots. So basically, if you can use your own self heals like paladins, like nightwalkers, like I think even like bishop's fountains and stuff work. But like to trigger the power elixir, you have to press the button. So it's a little tedious getting used to. And the biggest issue that we've had is two things. One is positioning, because there are webs in the corners. So you'll see like a web here, and then it's kind of off the screen here, but there's a web over here. And those are going to one-shot you when you get knocked back. And aggro, the tanks will get knocked back in this phase 2. There's a knockback skill. So the main thing that we had an issue was we're getting knocked back into the webs, one shot, and then there's a spider skill that like it's like the tornado in phase 1, but it crawls towards in the direction and it wipes everybody basically. So those are two things that we had to overcome once we got here first few times. And so we forced ourselves, one, to memorize or have a good idea of when spider was coming, because it is a set rotation, right? So that's important on when to know spider was coming so that we could stun it and skip the first one and then at least prepare for the second one. And then the main thing was the positioning. So you can see kind of in this picture how Will is off to this offset to the right a little bit. We needed to push him back into the middle so that when he gets knocked back, which is a fixed knockback, EXP jewels, knockback jewels do not work. It's fixed knockback. So we have to make sure we're centered here so the knockback pushes us just far enough to not get hit by the web. Because that's the 1-2 combo Makadai dead. So you can see, and all the other debris and stuff doesn't really matter. So we stunned right there to avoid the spider. Split, DPS, burst right here. So I got knocked back right there. Took damage. And I'm at a half HP. And then so I should use my moon gauge to heal up. There, I used the moon gauge right there. It triggered, healed up. So I got to be quicker about it. Everyone got to be quicker. Kind of a habit. It's kind of tough on the phone. Emulators, or not emulators, PC clients can use a button. Put a keybind on it to make it kind of more reactive. But yeah, for me, it takes a little bit getting used to, but not a huge deal. And then so you see right there, spider. So this is the spider that's crawling right there. So figure that out. And now we're just getting to the test. So right there, power elixirs. And we did a much better job. Like right here, our first run, people were wiping left and right. They didn't know how to use the power elixirs and stuff. Here, not a problem. Look, they're getting knocked back, but not into the web. And they're getting disoriented with the skull in their head. So they immediately just blink. They just blinked right back on top. So that's crucial as far as positioning. And then just like phase 1, there are check marks, test, we call them. Spider again. Yeah, saw that coming. So we're getting pushed a little bit to the right here, but at least now they're starting to face left. So if we get knocked back, it's not that big of a deal. See, I think he died right there because he got knocked back into the corner. Yeah. Right here. So I think aggro, truffle lock E, knocked back into the corner, and died to the web in the corner, right off the screen. Missed it, but that's what happened. So that's something like we can learn from, right? We reposition back into the middle, but it's really tough because he like the knockback, and he kind of just starts drifting right. So we got to do a better job of that, and it's tough. And then now at the half mark, you see the notch is the test. If you've ever seen Will, there's like this is the test that we got to figure out. And it takes reps. There's a pattern to it. So we've been drilling it into the team, testing it, practicing it. But really, until you get out here, You don't really know, right? And it moves pretty fast. So you'll see me here. We're all stacked up in the middle. And what we're waiting for is to react to spider legs here, right? So this is offset, the offset pattern. And so you have to move right. And anyone that didn't move right got killed, right? To the right spot. There's basically 3 spots to know. And then we moved right again. And then we start back in the middle. Rinse and repeat. So now screen crack or floor crack is the next pattern. So now you want to stay. So essentially what the thought process is, you want to get hit by the legs, but you don't know where the legs are. You have to memorize a pattern to know where the legs are going to spawn. Because if you don't go there preemptively, it's too late, right? You can't react. So you got to know where to go. And so how we moved here, because we knew the legs were going to be there. And then we go back to the spot, and there's the legs again, right? So you're probably wondering how we know that. It's just through what we've seen in PC and KMSM, and we're just trying to figure out. That's how I know, but experience obviously is the fastest way to learn. But you got to memorize, like we had to memorize the patterns. That's what I did. And it just takes reps. So offset again, so right, and then right again. So essentially what it is for that one is where the legs previously spawned. That's the easy indicator for this particular pattern. And then screen crack, floor crack again. Wait, legs, and then move. Get hit by the legs, and then move. So there's 5 of these at each marker. So there's offset again. So there's 3 different patterns. Now, sorry, there's 3 different patterns. We didn't see the 3rd variation, but now we failed the test, so the HP went back up. Similar to how it failed test in phase 1, HP went back up. And we ran out of lives real quick right there. So it is what it is. Like, I think we just need reps, practice, and we did get to the test here again, but unfortunately, I was super bummed that I died to spider here. I was like chilling, and I died to spider that walked right across. So sad. I was so sad. But this is it. You see, like we all just died. Shan and Copy, I think we're waiting to do a little bit more DPS, or maybe there's like a time we have to wait till. We're basically waiting for the banner to show up. So maybe he's just not doing enough DPS here. So he's trying to do DPS to get it over that threshold, and there's the banner. And so now you're getting into the test, and floor crack left. He did a good job here. Just made it there. And then offset, I think, was the next one, and he was a little bit late, and then he died. Right? So that was our will run, our best will run. Yeah, how long was that? That was 13 minutes. 13 minutes just through getting through phase 1.5. So long way to go, but I feel like we can get there much quicker just by showing up a few things, more reps, getting a better phase 1. Phase 2 is quick as long as we pass this test. And yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of grinding. There was an Asia team that did clear. They kind of cheated the system though, so we're not going to count that. But they took pay to win to another level basically, and everyone else that's been doing it on their own is kind of in the same boat that we are. There is an Asia team while I'm recording this that is getting to phase 3 in good time, but they're falling a little bit short. It is a grind, right? They're getting to phase 3 and they're failing at like 13 minutes. That's tough. That's tough, right? So it really weighs on you. The duration, it's a long game for sure. So I think that's going to be the biggest obstacle. Mechanics are fine, but it's just the room for error in a 15-minute fight. Like after a few runs, we're brain dead. We are brain dead. So it'll be exciting for when a team does pass. And I got to shout out all the people that have been helping. Like in our Discord, we've been bouncing ideas off each other, learning from everyone else's, like whether it's Enosis from NA, whether it's Asia with Sefi and Rubido, Sinner and all their team. Everyone's trying. Everyone's game planning and doing it at their own pace and figuring out things to do and better and sharing, which I think is amazing and really appreciative. So if you want to be part of that discussions, part of that conversation, to kind of see like everything behind the door, yeah, you want to jump in the Discord for sure, because that is where everything's happening. But more to come. We're going to try again on Sunday, get some of our main team back and just get reps. Just get reps and clean up some stuff, strategies better, and learn from our mistakes, really, and improve on it. So just wanted to share this with you guys. This is the big thing. August patch. Excited to just get, dude, I've been having a hard time. I've been waking up early, just kind of thinking about having a hard time sleep. Like I'm like so stimulated from just like my brain is just fried and excited about this. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope everything works out for the patch notes. You'll figure it out for the boss contributions and things like that. So other than that, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.